What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of the Random Encounter podcast. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by Jesse.
What up, boys?
Mike.
What up?
And as you can see, we have a special guest today. It's the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Gio.
Hello, how you doing?
Gio, actually, first thing I want to ask you is, how do you pronounce your tag? Is it Loathy?
It is Loathy, yeah.
Loathy? Okay. Just wanted to make sure it's Loathy, but yeah.
Very good.
Thanks for joining us today, Gio. We got a bunch of stuff to ask you because or some of you might know and while others might not know, Gio here, he's actually really good at competitive gaming. So good that he was actually able to try out with a professional team. So we want to get some insight on how he feels about competitive gaming. And we have a bunch of other topics such as, can Halo Infinite be saved? I know a lot of people out there think it can't. I have faith in Halo Infinite. As you know, I grew up around the Halo ages, so I really think we can do that. But first, let's go to Gio and ask him a couple questions. First things first, Gio, what's your favorite game of all time?
I've got to say Halo Reach, honestly.
Halo Reach?
Good
choice.
Good choice.
I grew up playing it like since I was 11 or 12 until I was 16 or 17. So it's got a special place in my heart, for sure.
Oh, nice. So none of us have actually never mentioned our favorite games at all in the podcast. So we're going to circle around and actually get to do that right now. Jesse, what's your favorite game of all time?
Has to be Pokemon Crystal.
Okay. Not a bad
Solid
choice.
title. I think it's the one Pokemon game I sunk the most hours in.
Yeah.
Roughly about 200, maybe 300 hours just trying to catch them all back in the day.
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
What about you, Mike?
I don't know, man. It's tough, bro.
It's tough?
Like, it's tough to pick one because, like, growing up, I grew up with like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and
That's a solid title.
I still play that game, at least like once every few years, just to stay refreshed. But then I grew up a little bit, and then I started getting in the competitive scene when I was younger, and Halo 2 and 3 were fire. Gio's still kind of a jit. I'm about to turn 30. I grew up with Halo 2 and 3.
I played that too.
Yeah. But
I was 7.
Yeah. But it's hard. But I would say probably like if I had to, just for like the rose tinted nostalgia glasses, I would have to say like Ocarina of Time. Like
Ocarina of Time is really
Solid.
good. Yeah.
It's funny. Ocarina of Time, for whatever reason, I can never say it was my favorite game of all time. My previous favorite game of all time was actually A Link to the Past. And that's that one game that I beat so many times.
Good.
But it's just kind of like that foundation. It's actually that foundation of Zelda when you really look at it. With the traveling between different dimensions. You beat your first overworld, and now it unlocks a bunch of other things after that. Other games have done it, like Dark Souls, right? You have the first area you're in, and then once you beat the clock tower, then you go to that whole different area where you have that whole other world to explore.
See, and there's Elden Ring too.
Yeah, Elden Ring has that too.
Yeah,
where
Elden Ring.
You have
It's
two
so
It's so hard
areas.
to pick one game, dude. Like,
But-
I wanted to play Elden Ring.
There is actually one game that is my favorite of all time right now, and that's Breath of the Wild. And that's because I think
Okay.
that
That's solid.
solidified what's an open world game. If you remember our podcast a couple weeks ago, or a couple episodes ago rather, we talked about open world games, and I think Breath of the Wild is the one that did it perfect. Traversing that world was perfect. I know a lot of people don't like the breaking weapons mechanics. I didn't mind because it kind of forced you to really think and use what weapon. And I just like, the whole world was pretty nice. But yeah, I think Breath of the Wild would be my favorite game of all time, with Ghost of
That's a
Tsushima
solid
being
choice.
a solid second.
Okay.
Ghost is good too.
Yeah.
man,
Ghost
it's
is a
hard,
good
man.
game.
I don't think I have a favorite game, bro. I just like them all, man.
Yeah.
I can put like a top 5 list together, but number 1 is kind
Yeah.
of hard.
Maybe
Yeah.
a top 20 at most.
Yeah.
But like, if I can't pick just one.
No, I agree. Like, it's different, and it's funny. My favorite game of all time doesn't match up with what's my favorite franchise of all time, too. Because my favorite franchise is Fire Emblem. Totally different series, totally different gameplay, but I love that franchise. So I think it's okay. You can have a favorite game of all time or multiple, and also love a different franchise, right? That's a totally different genre.
Honestly. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I was honestly gonna say like I'm like the complete opposite because
Yeah.
3 of my favorite games of all time all came from the same studio, so I really can't complain.
What
What
games?
Which
Uh,
game?
Reach, Halo 3, and Destiny.
Ooh.
Oh,
Destiny.
Destiny
Oh,
too.
Yeah.
Bro,
Destiny.
I have like 1,000 hours of Destiny too.
Yeah,
You know what I
dude,
mean? Like,
Destiny 1 paved the way, I
Yeah.
think, of what could be a really good looter shooter balance.
You know what's funny
Yeah.
is actually I wanted to talk a little bit about Destiny today, and I didn't even put it in the notes. So before we get started interviewing you, Gio, let's talk a little bit about Destiny.
For sure.
Because Destiny was
Okay.
actually a game that I really did like
yeah.
when it first came out. I loved
Yeah.
it. Like that was the one game that I really got into it competitively. Maybe because I was just really good at it, but I loved the whole mechanics, like the whole gameplay. I did Warlock, and I was just right there. Fell in love with it right
So
away.
fluid, yeah. And the competitive scene even grew too. Like
Yeah,
when you switched over to Xbox One, there was like sweats that you played, and honestly, the competitive scene at the beginning of
yo,
like,
Trials is crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Like, you know, like
yeah, and that's like what
like-
paved the way for Trials too. Like
Yeah.
Mike's right, dude. Like as a like I like the way that like Destiny meshes PVE fun and
Yeah.
also competitive PvP.
Yeah.
It's just Bungie didn't support it, so it died.
yeah. And that was the biggest issue too. Like in the beginning, I was on it for maybe like 6 months and doing it, and I still have a bunch of game clips saved on my PS5 from me playing Destiny of all the times I was #1 when I came out, had the most the most kills, the least amount of deaths and stuff like that. Really enjoyed Destiny, and then I just fell off of it right before the first expansion pack came out, which was it Wrath of the Lich King, the first
The
expansion
first
pack
one was Crota's End.
wait, for
for
Are we
Destiny
talking about
1.
WoW?
No.
Destiny 1,
Destiny
Crota's
1.
Oh
End,
yeah,
Crota's
that
End
is
raid.
wow. You're right. What is it? There's something. What was the
It
one
was,
for Destiny?
It was like Crota's End raid. What was that called though?
oh
was
my
the-
God, Destiny
Let me see.
1.
Let me see.
I
I can't
That
remember.
was,
Yeah, I was about to say.
Destiny 1 was like a decade ago, bro. You
I
have
know,
so
bro.
much,
yeah,
man.
dude.
Like,
I'm trying to think.
Come
Not
on.
not. I'm trying to think about it yet. Like,
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up.
isn't it something Queen?
The
something-
dark
No,
below. The dark below.
That's the new one. The Dark
Dark
Below.
Below.
The Dark Below was the first one. Man, like I'm
Yeah.
mixing up. I'm mixing up stuff then. But I stopped
Yeah.
before the first expansion pack, and then I just basically never got back into it, unfortunately. But I'm really hyped up with the new Destiny 2 trailer. What about you, Gio? You think you might get back into Destiny?
I definitely would. The downside of it is there's just like for me personally as a competitive player, like that's what I really enjoy doing, and there's just no support for it. I enjoyed and also the grind. So like in order to play Trials, you have to grind like PvE, and that
Yeah.
takes a lot of time to get the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
loadout, the right perks. It takes a lot of time, and you can't really dedicate yourself to
it's not,
true
yeah,
practice.
it's
Yeah.
not just a multiplayer game. You have to play every aspect.
Yeah.
of it.
It's like a
you
lifestyle.
can't just hop
Exactly.
on. Yeah,
It-
man.
And I think that's something that actually why it touched to me, because I love when I got bored of PvP, just jump into PvE, where a lot of other competitive shooters is just you're really stuck with PvP and that's it. There's nothing else around it. Halo is another one that I really get into, but it's one of those again, you can kind of jump out and do the story again, play co-op, do the story. Yeah, PvE elements there.
Yeah, reach that
Overwatch,
firefight.
yeah, Overwatch 2, which is one that we're going to talk about later on, is one that they added with Overwatch 2 PvE elements as well as PvP, which is why that's gaining my interest again. But that's something we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
I mean, Destiny's a good foundation, and for the longest I thought about why is nobody else emulating Destiny, right? Like I think it has the perfect blend of like open world, and I guess
It's
was that-
expensive to make.
yeah,
That's why.
like
It is.
Outriders I think was the closest one to do that, but it just
Yeah,
didn't
It was
catch on.
trash, dude. Well, the,
wasn't- it
the
wasn't near.
initial launch was bad, and
Yeah.
then it got better with expansions. But if the initial launch isn't good, you're gonna lose everyone's
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah, and that's like another game that
Exactly.
tried it was Anthem, and Anthem instantly.
Yeah, Anthem. That's
Oh,
you're
yeah.
right. Anthem was one. that was
Rest in
trying-
peace.
Anthem just started off dead. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's funny. Anthem, I really was looking into that too. I was excited about it. You just play around as Iron Man, right? But I played a little bit just to make sure, see if what everybody was saying was true. And yeah, I got bored like instantly. It wasn't my cup
Dang.
of tea, unfortunately.
I
And by it,
think
I felt it was gonna be bad. I felt it in my blood, dude.
You think
Like
so?
all my so I was playing Destiny heavy at the time, and all my Destiny clan they all bought it, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait a week, and I'm gonna like see like what's up, and I'm like, I'm glad I did because I would have been out $60. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see, my experience with that, like Anthem, was I got it, the collector's edition, which I was stupid to buy.
Oh man.
you out some money, yeah.
Played multiplayer. So at the beginning of the game with the multiplayer, there was a bug where you could go to later game content at the beginning of the game. And I caught the last cutscene on Anthem, and I was just level 1. So my experience was already robbed as soon as I went into that instant.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully another franchise comes out and tries to emulate it and does well because, like Mike have said plenty of times in our previous podcast, competition is key. Competition is good, right? That's how people get better. That's how games get better. Honestly, there was nothing comparable to, if there was nothing that was exceeding Breath of the Wild, or Zelda rather, like Dark Souls, I don't think Breath of the Wild would have took the direction it did. So yeah, hopefully something comes out there. But let's circle back around to you, Gio. I have a couple questions to ask you. Since you're the man who knows everything about competitive,
No some.
tell me what does it take to be competitive? Like, what's your story? How did you get into the competitive scene? How did you get looked at or scouted rather? What do you do in your daily life to prepare for that? Like, tell us the whole story for those people out there who really want to know.
Yeah, so circling back, I guess, back to Destiny. In Destiny 1, I switched over from Xbox 360 over to Xbox One. Started playing in sweats for a bit. I enjoyed the competitive scene on that for a while. I did a lot of trials runs.
Real quick, what are sweats for people that don't know?
Yeah. So sweats were like essentially 3v3 skirmishes matches that you would like Q snipe each other into, which Q sniping is just matching up against people on purpose by finding the closest person that lives, whoever lives close to each other.
Right.
They'd be host. They'd queue into a skirmish match, and you'd play like no heavy rules. There'd be no heavy, and then there's a couple other different rules as well. I forgot. It's been a couple years. But you'd load in, play a match, and there got to be like wager matches or just for fun. So those were fun for a while. But then Trials came out 2 expansions later, and I got really engrossed in that with my group of my friends. I played with some really good Xbox One players that were high up in the leaderboards in terms of like Trials. And I played that until roughly around the end of Destiny 1, so the last expansion, for a while. And then my friend, Overwatch came out. And that was like my big jump like into competitive. My friend, around season 4 of Overwatch, he was trying to get me to Overwatch way before then. And he was like, dude, you gotta try it. And I tried it, instantly fell in love. So that was like my big start there. Played Overwatch for a bit, and then towards a couple of seasons after I played it from season 4, I hit GM and then top 500 for
Nice.
that. And then my highest I hit was number 72 for North America on
That's
Xbox.
my friend.
Nice.
That's why I started, I guess.
That's nice, man. And it's funny. Overwatch is one of those games I always wanted to get into, especially in the competitive scene. I started playing that on PS4, and then I actually transferred over to PC, and that was actually one of the games to kind of help make me rebuild my gaming PC at the time that was only being used for Final Fantasy 14. Once I rebuilt it, went all in on Genji with mouse and keyboard, and that helped out so much.
So much better on mouse and keyboard.
It is. Like Genji, he's one of those people you got to be really quick on, and it's really hard to use with thumbsticks. At least for me, like it was hard to be as accurate. With all the other characters, because they use guns, to me, I was already used to that, so it wasn't that bad. But Genji is one of those that there's so much going on. Mouse and keyboard is key, especially with how fast you have to move with him. That's pretty cool. And then where did you go next after Overwatch?
So I played Overwatch on PC next from there. So around season 16, I got a PC. Played on PC for a bit, and then also I hit top 500 on PC as well on DPS. And I stayed there, like finished out in top 500 and top 300 for DPS, and I hit GM, which is essentially, right below top 500, same rank, just top 500 and GM get that top 500 logo. So I hit that on tank, and then after that I went to Apex, which is what I play now. Apex until Overwatch 2 comes out, but Apex right now is what I really enjoy.
Nice. Yeah, and Apex is fun too. Like that's one of those things that they took the elements from Titanfall 2, same developer. And Titanfall 2 is one of those games that I loved. I really enjoyed it. You never played Titanfall 2, Mike?
No, I never played Apex.
Oh,
Titanfall 2.
Yeah. Apex is actually really fun. You do get your characters, right, similar to Overwatch, where each one has like their roles. Yeah. But the gameplay or the gunplay rather is very Titanfall 2. Running on walls, double jumping, things like that.
Very fluid.
Exactly, and that's one thing I loved about Titanfall 2. There's not a game that I've played that's as quick as Titanfall 2. Apex, right? But there's not a game outside of Apex and Titanfall 2 that I've played that's as fast as that, where you're double jumping, you can slide through a window or something and quickly kill somebody, move on to the next person. That's what makes Apex fun. I think we're all gonna have to stream Apex one of these days.
Dude, have to, man.
Yeah.
Have to.
With,
Yeah, I'll
with
try.
Gio can carry us.
Yeah.
No, I'll be carried. I'll be carried. Yeah, I would say that Apex's movement is really what brought me into it.
Yeah.
Like all these other battle royales are all the same. You know, PUBG, Fortnite has this building aspect, but
Yeah.
even then, it's the
Yeah.
fluidity of the movement and the gunplay isn't there. I feel like does that
Yeah.
that gap of like a quick battle royale, but
Yes.
also a high skill gap.
So going back to that, so I'm sure Jesse's seen this. How many times I was trying to invite him yesterday? I was playing Fortnite with my kids these past few days, and my biggest complaint is the gunplay. It sucks. It's horrible. I just don't know how people can get into it. It's so slow. I'm like shooting a gun.
Bro.
I was like, what is this? Like, is this a handgun or is this an SMG? Like, come on. Like, what are you shooting so slow?
All right, we'll play together, and I'll show you how to actually do gunplay.
Yeah, I just couldn't.
Right.
But when you play something like Apex, it's just so quick and nice and fluid. Honestly, I recommend it. We're gonna have to give this a try. We'll have Gio train us, and maybe we can
Dude.
one day be
Let's
scouted
train,
out
let's
too.
begin.
There we go. We'll sit in our hyperbolic time chambers for days and
There we
do
go.
training, right?
I wish. Wouldn't that be awesome? Dude?
Oh,
You
dude.
come out like a pro, like 10 minutes later, like you're like pro status.
Yeah, exactly.
wish. Dude, I'll be in there too.
Oh man. So, going back to Apex and everything, and you getting scouted, like how did you get scouted? Were you doing something for people to catch an eye? Were you streaming? Were you sending in clips?
So I guess for a while I was uploading on TikTok my Apex clips because I went from within 2 seasons I got to Masters, the top rank in Apex. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to do some content on this game and really try to broaden my horizons from just like Overwatch or whatever else I was playing. Because at the time I was kind of like in a lull where I was like, man, Overwatch it's not its last leg, you know. So I had to find something new to try to like branch out and be recognized for like what I'm doing, what I'm trying to achieve. So also I was doing that for a bit, and then I also went on Aim Labs, which is like a aim training practicing game. And on the front page there was like a pro team that was doing a aim scenario tryout. So I did that and I placed number 24 in the world, but there was
Nice.
a couple cheaters in the leaderboard,
Nice.
so gotta knock myself down. So around 20 in the world. And from there I got like recognized to like, hey, you want to see more? Can you send more clips? And from there, I got some recognition. Didn't make it to the next stage of like, recognition or any signing or anything, but just being recognized and being like seen as a potential pro player was enough for me to like continue wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Baby steps,
Yeah.
bro. You know what I mean? One step at a
Yeah,
time,
no,
bro.
for sure.
No,
Just the recognition alone.
definitely. And I think all of us here can say that we believe in you for you to go pro.
Thank you.
I mean,
Yeah,
Keep-
exactly.
you got to keep at that, right? I think we're kind of in the same boat, right? We're a brand new podcast. We're starting out. Some people out there, they've said the same thing to us. They believe in our podcast. One person I forgot to shout out in the beginning of the podcast, he helped sponsor this video. He got me this whole setup, but his words of kindness, it
Big
kind of
W.
struck me. It was, shout out to Ken Masters out there. Ken Masters is not his real name, but
Yeah.
we're gonna use the alias Ken Masters.
Big W from Ken Master.
And man, like,
sir.
he really touched me. He went and got me this setup right here, and he was like, hey, I really believe in your podcast. I'm gonna invest in you. And that's kind of a great way. And if you guys really believe in our podcast too, invest in us. We got our Patreon set up. But Gio, no, definitely
Like, comment, subscribe too.
yeah, like, comment, subscribe as well. Exactly. That's also a big push for us too. But yeah, no, Gio, we definitely believe in what you do out there. Yeah, we're gonna have to sit up and play when we start doing our streaming. You're gonna have to come along with us and stream. We're gonna have to stream
down.
together.
I'm always down.
We'll hold hands
Yeah.
together, get through this.
There we go. Hold hands.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, first stream is what? Friday, September 2nd.
Yeah, so we're looking to do our first stream this Friday if everything goes well. That's the plan. We're gonna do Halo Infinite. I think it's a good way to stream in. Halo Infinite is actually one of our topics later on, but definitely keep a lookout on that. Look out on our Twitter, our TikTok. What else do we got over there, Mike? You're the social media manager here.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We're about to have a Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm getting it all set up. Yeah, we're gonna have everything.
There we go.
yeah. So keep an eye on there.
And
Well,
you can our Discord as well.
yeah,
So
Definitely,
Yeah.
you can join our Discord. We got that on there on Patreon. If for those of you who Patreon subscribe, you can join our Discord and play with us and hang out with us for sure. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
so Gio, going back to you, how
Yeah.
many how long do you practice? Like how many times a day do you practice, or how many hours a day rather do you practice?
Honestly, it depends on the day. I try to minimum get at least get 5 hours in
Yeah.
because I feel like you can do around 30 minutes of warm up, if not an hour, depending on like how you're feeling that day, whether it be mentally or physically.
Yeah.
Try to get 30 minutes in at least minimum of just actual aim training. And going back to that like aim labs or Kovacs, just aim training games that practice scenarios to help you aim better. And then hopping into like actual games for like 4 hours and then doing some VOD review, like just seeing where you went wrong,
Yeah.
where you can improve, what decisions you can make in that scenario to keep yourself calm, but also make better plays to help you and your team.
Nice. And question for you. So, well, there's a bunch of questions for you, but do you? So when I play a game, there's like usually when I first start off, I'm on fire, and then like after the
Right.
fifth match,
Yep.
I go from up here all the way down. Does that happen to you?
Actually, the direct opposite. I feel like the longer I play, I get more in tune with myself to get more of that flow going. I
Okay.
feel like the biggest thing that like people need to realize is you're gonna have like bad moments.
Yeah.
That just happens. But once you get your flow, you gotta find your rhythm. You're kind of there.
Okay. So you're like Goku Black, right? The more he fought, the more powerful he got. Gotcha.
Exactly, dude.
So like in the competitive scene on that, because like I come from like Halo 3, Halo 2. Like, is there like is it still like call outs and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah,
or is there any way like to play the map like how you would in, like Halo 2, Halo 3, like stuff like
absolutely.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, like just like for one example, let's just do King's Row on Overwatch, right? Because that's like one of my most played games, especially my best like Zarya map. Because Zarya Ryan on that map is so potent. um, when you're on defense, you don't want to be able to play in the choke. You want to play behind a hotel because behind hotel lets you kite your team, but also keeps your supports safe from the flank. That if you do have to peel back for them, you can do that safely while not giving up too much space. So it gives you cover
Right.
from a sniper as well as potential help for your backline. And that's just like one example of many. And of course, there's like different calls, like you said, like the middle statue of King's Row. If you know the map, there's like a middle statue right when you walk out. If they're playing behind statue, you just call like behind statue. There's but statue behind height. There's just different kind of call outs.
Interesting.
Where to go,
I
Okay.
might I might give it a shot. I haven't been in a competitive scene in like a decade.
dude. You
bro.
gotta,
Like,
you gotta,
honestly,
man.
dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna say the
fun.
way you're explaining everything is getting me pretty hyped. I feel like after
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
podcast, I'm gonna be number one, right? Like, I'm gonna just go out there and just
Chase 'em.
start dominating.
I'm definitely gonna be pro like
Yeah.
that game, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Bro.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, you might be pro in that first match, and in
Hey,
in
second
Apex,
match,
right? Yeah.
gonna suck.
Hey,
I mean,
Like,
you got all.
I'll make it. Just carry me at that point.
You
I'll,
got-
I'll
I'm-
take it.
Well, I mean, those first matches, right? You got to play against all those bots, and you never know, right? Like,
Right, you never know. Hey, you could be him.
so being in a competitive scene, like a lot of people, especially in the fighting game community, that's something that me and Jesse we follow a lot.
Right.
There's a lot of toxic people out there. Is it as toxic when it comes to like Apex and Overwatch?
Yeah, I would say so. I was definitely guilty of it when I was younger. I think that when I was younger, I would focus on, I let my competitive mindset be more childish and not realize, hey, I make mistakes too. It could be a bad game for them. It could be this, that, and the other. But I think the biggest thing that happens in team-based games, maybe not in fighting games, is egos come into play. Like someone has an ego, and they don't want to listen to someone. They don't want to hear a different perspective. They don't want to, they don't want to die for the team benefit. They don't want to
Yeah.
do something to benefit the team if it
Yeah.
doesn't benefit them. They want to be the all-star. And in reality, sometimes you just got to be the team player to help your team succeed.
it
Yeah.
always
'Cause at
has
the
to
end
be
of the day,
team
it's winning.
player, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's about winning for the team.
Yeah.
You getting the all-star highlight is not going to bring home the cup. It's not
Yeah.
going to bring home any sort of treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Man,
Go ahead,
it's
Mike.
nothing's gonna be as bad as like the Halo 3 Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, dude. Like that was wild.
the
bro.
days,
That was
yeah.
wild
Good
times,
days.
dude. Like,
No,
like
even,
it still is toxic because you have like League of Legends community and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is like
Yeah.
the most toxic.
oh,
but
trust
it's
me.
I think it's still like nothing will beat like back in the day like Halo 3, like
Oh, yeah.
Modern Warfare 2. That was so bad, dude. I
Yeah,
learned
it
so
was.
many words.
Yeah,
Like
that
it's crazy.
no, I agree. That 360 era, right? That was really bad. I remember playing even Halo 4 with my uncle and his friends, and yo, man, it was crazy. Like some of the the junk that they would talk about and all the words they would say. I mean, that's why we have so many filters now for words in chats,
Yeah,
that would get
man.
you banned
Yeah.
because, man, back then it was anything goes, and I can't tell you how many times that they
Wow,
harass people
yeah.
on there. Like, it's crazy. Like,
Yeah,
my uncle was one of them, man. He was one of them. He would go in and,
we all did it at one point. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we
Everyone's
all
guilty
did.
of
and
it.
it was one of
You're
those too.
anonymous. No one can see you. Like,
You gotta
And-
just like gotta realize, like, especially in the competitive scene, like you gotta realize you just gotta grow out of it because
Yeah,
you know it's what makes it even more difficult is when someone is like constantly saying it in game. That makes it a little bit more harder to ignore because they're just annoying you. Plus, you're getting mad at yourself,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to be
Yeah.
that better player for your team. It's hard to keep calm in those situations. I will say.
yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's one of those things. Circling back on what you said, they're team-based games. You gotta look out for one another. Where the fighting game scene is a little bit different. You're kind of like it's one-on-one, right? So you can kind of talk all the junk you want, and you can say you're number one. But in a game like Apex, where you're running squads of three, it's a totally different scenario. You got Halo when you're running 4 people per squad, right? 4 or is it 6?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
4.
4.
It's
Okay.
4.
Yeah, so 4 people per squad. It's it's different there too. You have to look out for one another. You can't just go ahead and try to be number one, because if you're playing against a team that knows how to work as a team, you're kind of screwed.
No,
Right.
100%.
Halo 3 is like the prime like teamwork because there you can't like go out and kill everyone by yourself. Like especially if you if you're playing a team that knows what they're
Yeah.
doing. If y'all don't work together, you're done. Like Halo Infinite's a little different. You can kind of like one man
Yeah.
everything. Like, but back in the old days, you couldn't do that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean Halo Infinite. I don't know. I don't know if I could agree with that. Like one man. I mean, at least I've never been
I've
able
done
to.
it.
You've done it. Okay, like I've never
He's
been
like
able
that.
to.
He's like that.
But yeah,
Like the it's. I'm not saying it's easy. It's I'm not saying it's impossible.
Yeah.
But like it's like it's harder to do it. You know what I mean? Like back
Yeah.
in the day. Yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah,
I
no,
hear you.
yeah, we got you. No, but Gio,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. This is
I was
this is
gonna
you.
say, I was gonna say I agree. It's not so much that it's harder or easier. It's different.
Yeah,
When
there we go.
now,
That's what I was
like,
looking for.
The gaming scene has gotten a lot more competitive
Yeah.
than before, and
That's true.
people are now playing more as a team even before. So those Halo 3 veterans are still gonna be cranking you, even if you are just a frag master on your own. If you don't have teamwork, you're gonna get bursted. So it's kind
Yeah.
of it's redundant if you just play by yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're looking, let's say, for example, let's say if you are a selfish person, you try to be that one man, army of one type of person. If you're getting scouted by a professional team, they take that into consideration, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like
Yeah.
teamwork is probably the biggest thing, honestly, because again, back to what I have the most experience in, like Overwatch. The more in sync you are with personalities is going to lead to a lot better team chemistry.
Yeah.
And team chemistry is everything, because at the end of the day, if you can't, sometimes callouts are too much. Sometimes too much callouts is a thing, because you have to focus on your aim. You have to think about the cooldown management, who's where, what's next, what's going to be done if this happens. And sometimes you just got to have like just chemistry. You got to know what your team is going to do in that situation instead of having to have to call out every little detail.
Yeah, it's
Jesse,
like getting to know a person. Like,
Yeah.
Jesse, you've been quiet. You got anything for Gio?
No, honestly, just listen and taking everything in at the moment.
All
You
right.
guys pretty much hit all the questions that I was going to ask him. I mean, other than his practice, he already told us all about that.
Yeah.
Like,
Just a lot. Like I said, like in terms of practice, try to get as many games in as possible, but also with consistently the same people if you want to be professional, building that team chemistry.
do you have a set
Yeah.
team, or like you just like?
Yeah, we
running with
do.
a few people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I play with my buddy Dre and my buddy Garrett. I've been playing with Garrett since I was 13, so chemistry is already there. And Dre has a similar
Wow.
play style
Wow.
with me, so yeah, I'm 21 almost. So in like a month, I'm 21. So
Man,
My guy.
being young.
Man, the years.
I know, right?
I turned 30 tomorrow, so I'm about to be out of my 20s. Like,
Hey, happy
Oh,
birthday,
dude.
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
happy
you're
birthday.
in like the DILF stage, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, right. yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow might not be when this episode is up though, just to let you know. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it is a Tuesday.
yeah, today is a Tuesday that we're recording this. So yeah, so you can do the math there. But yeah, no, we appreciate you giving us all those tips, and for everybody else out there, I know my son's going to be listening to this podcast because he was actually very excited for this episode. He's one that he really wants to get into the competitive scene, and the minute I told him that, hey, I have somebody who's there, he's definitely got into it. My brother-in-law too is another one. He actually plays Overwatch a lot, really competitive.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get into it, and I think him listening to you speak would actually motivate him. And he's about around he's around your age too, so like I think I really speak to him there for sure.
And I always I coach people too. I help them with like aim training, so I'm always trying to help people whenever I do my own thing. I'm always trying to like coach them, help them where they improve, and I also try to get my own too.
That's cool.
That's dope. We're gonna have to get a coaching session set
There we
up.
go.
There we go.
Like 10,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, some extreme sessions, right? We got to be able to do this.
You gotta use the shadow clones.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta get see like Gio's like Sage mode, right? He's already good. He's got this. Here we're like Naruto, no, we're like Naruto episode 1. That's what we are. We're not there yet.
We all start somewhere.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're not at that level. But moving on, there's actually another game that we want to talk about that was announced actually a couple weeks ago, and we didn't actually hit up on that topic because we wanted to save it with Gio being here. And that is Modern Warfare 2. Well, Modern Warfare 2, I guess, again, because it's not really a remake. It's a new game. It's a new Modern Warfare 2, right? Not the original one that Mike mentioned earlier. But yeah, that had a trailer come out. You can go ahead if you pre-order, you get rights to the beta and all that stuff. What do you think? What do you think about that, Gio?
I am one of the few that actually enjoyed playing Modern Warfare 2019.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. People to complain about the maps and such. It's just a different play style. You could be more aware of your surroundings. The TTK was high too, or low, so you could do that solo carry thing, unlike in other games where you can't. Especially like Halo is another one.
Yeah.
Like high time to kill is just one of those things where it makes it a lot harder to be an all-out star. It requires more teamwork because you kind of separate your battles. Whereas in like Modern Warfare, you can kind of be that solo fragger and come out on your own and show your aiming like prowess, I guess.
Yeah, Modern Warfare was one of those. Modern Warfare 2019, rather. It really did catch my interest. Unfortunately, I did skip because I was like, I'm not sure it would be any good. The last Call of Duty game I really got into was actually Black Ops 2. I really loved that one. It's probably still my favorite Call of Duty out of all of them. Black Ops 3 was like, I loved zombies, but as far as like the actual multiplayer, I didn't care for, and then I just dropped off after that. But yeah, Modern Warfare 2 has my interest. If it's more of Modern Warfare 1 and just a little bit better, then I definitely might jump in and actually get that. It might be my first Call of Duty game in years.
All right.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse?
As a person who plays mostly RPGs, I might get it. The story did look kind of interesting from like the gameplay, trailer that we saw. I might, like I said, I might get it. I don't know 100% sure yet.
Yeah.
Like the last Call of Duty I ever played was like Modern Warfare on PS3.
Oh, yeah.
So that tells you how long ago it's been for me. Because I don't really get into like shooters. The only reason why I got into Fortnite was the skins, to be honest with you. And I just stuck with I got stuck with the gameplay afterwards. But from
Kamehameha is also really cool too. Like,
I told you, bro. you see, I told you, bro. It's the Funko Pop of video games. So I could talk about Fortnite for hours, but we're talking about Modern Warfare. I might honestly, it's like a 50-50 for me. I saw the gameplay. I'm big on graphics, so like looking at it, it does look really stunning. Especially like with my television that could do upscale 8K. I kind of want to see what it looks like on the screen.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you?
I'm gonna wait for a sale.
Wait for a sale.
Okay.
Good, bro. I feel like with Call of Duty, like you played one, you played them all, man.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. Like the campaigns are, like I'm gonna call it right now that you're gonna like have to go kill like some kind of terrorist that's gonna threaten the U.S. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, boom, like that's the story right there, dude. Like,
Yeah.
That's the bread and butter, okay?
yeah.
Yeah. I
Tried
guess
and true.
I guess for me it's been a minute, since I played, any Call of Duty or any multiplayer like first person game. And that's why it's piqued my interest. It'll be nice to get into something like that. And again, it's different from Apex or Fortnite or any of these other games, different type of play style. And it's something I
Yeah.
guess, we grew up with, so we're used to that style. It's just nice to kind of go back to that where you just, run and gun and that's it, call it a day.
Yeah, I would say like the arena shooter genre, unfortunately, is just not one of those like platforms where people are really interested anymore, unfortunately, which is a shame because, like you said, we all grew up on that arena style shooter
Yeah.
platform.
That's
Yeah.
not
But
really arena though. Like Modern Warfare,
yeah, well, I mean
Like,
that's like more
because you
arcadey,
can
I guess.
sprint, man.
Yeah.
Like
That's true.
like
Yeah,
Yeah.
arena like shooters, you can't sprint. It's like
Yeah.
you gotta think like
that's
Quake,
fair.
Halo, like stuff
That's
like
fair.
that.
Yeah, Quake.
I guess the better would be like arcadey then.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
arcade type shooters, and unfortunately Call of Duty has like a bad track record of just being not good recently, especially
Yeah.
like Cold War and Vanguard. Coming like the people I play with are all Call of Duty players when they were like before the games we play now. I was a Halo player, so for me, like I prefer more Halo-y type games, whereas they prefer more lower time to kill stuff. But even they said like this is like the last COD they're even gonna try because there hasn't been a good one
Yeah.
in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I've heard people talk good about Call of Duty. At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't enjoy Cold War at all. I didn't enjoy Vanguard either. Modern Warfare 2019, I feel like was really good though because you had like high, like Jesse said, high graphical fidelity. You had
Yeah.
good immersive gameplay with some speed, decent guns. Like yeah, the 7.25 was broken and could snipe you from a mile away, but it's not caught if it's not broken a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, I agree. Like, Call of Duty was never known for its graphics. And when I first saw Modern Warfare 1, I was like, wow, like that thing, they really changed it up. It really looks amazing. It was probably one of the best looking games when it came out at the time, too. So, and then Modern Warfare 2 looks just to be, more of that out there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I might cop it. But yeah, like you said, it's probably Black Friday. It might be half off. Usually, nowadays, any game that's not a Nintendo game usually becomes half off on Black Friday. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Exactly.
Christmas noobs.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, Gio, moving on to our next topic, do you think Overwatch 2 will revive Overwatch? Because, and quote me if I'm wrong, I feel like Overwatch is not what it was when it first came out. It was definitely super hyped. I remember everywhere it being talked about. I mean, you can't, go to a website without Overwatch being, said or being named or anything like that. And now it seems to have quieted it down some. And it, part of it might have to do with what's going on with Activision Blizzard. But I think the other part of it is just that, people kind of dropped off. What do you think? You think Overwatch 2 can kind of bring it back to life?
It's really hard to say because yeah, people. What's the best way to word this? You're changing the format. So yeah, everybody's saying it looks like the same game, but from a competitive standpoint, you're taking out one player of that dynamic, especially the most important role in the game. And I'll say it here and now. Most people agree with this point, but there's some people that don't. The tank role is the most important and impactful game of the character, like the role of the game. It is by far the hardest role to play and also the most demanding, because you have so many factors to worry about. So when you take one of those tanks out of the game, you're changing the dynamic and the flow of the game, as well as all the changes they're making to the characters. Is just another way to change the game. So yeah, it looks the same, but so does every COD. So does most Halos. So does a lot of other games. But you're changing the dynamic and the speed of the flow of the game. So as far as will it revive it, that's a hard say because you're right. Like even, towards the end, like I said before, Overwatch was dying. Like they stopped caring about the first game because they were so focused on the second game, and they kept pushing the second game off back and back.
Yeah.
And support just you got to keep a game updated to keep it alive. Like look at like Jesse said, Fortnite. Like it gets constant updates.
Yeah, and I think that's why they switched it from a paid game to now a free to play style because they can do that now. They can monetize on skins or characters or anything like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much like what Apex does, right? They monetize on characters. They release a new character, you can get that. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Like I really would like to get back into Overwatch. Looking at
I don't really think they should have did an Overwatch 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
So
like there's not going to be a Fortnite 2,
Yeah.
and then And then Destiny tried to do a 2, and everyone was so mad that they're just sticking to 2 now.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
they're not going to go to 3 because it was
Yeah.
originally supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
Supposed to be Destiny 1, 2, and 3, and then they just kept updating Destiny 2.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say is that they may have done Overwatch 2 just for like adding better game engine stuff.
Yeah.
So
Right.
optimize it more.
Yeah.
Because when I will say when I played the beta and such, it did feel a little bit smoother, less FPS drops, less, overall like fluidity and like smoothness overall gameplay. But I do agree with Mike. They shouldn't really have done it, switch the whole game. I think, and going free to play is another big issue in my opinion too.
Yeah.
It causes problems with
Always an issue.
smurfing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it probably causes problems with smurfing a lot, and that's a hot subject too.
Yeah.
So what's Smurfing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so smurfing is essentially someone who makes a lower level account and plays in lower ranks, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got
so
you.
that
Yeah.
causes a big issue, especially when. And I smurf. I'm guilty of it, but I only do it to play with friends.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's
Yeah.
at the same rank as me, and I still want to play with my friends. But you have these other people that go in and do just like a bronze to GM runs. They have like, one tricking certain characters like Torb only from bronze to GM, and that ruins some players' experience because they want to, have a team that actually is trying to work together, not hard locking one character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed when I did that, like to play with my girlfriend in Fortnite, we felt bad, like the rest of the guys that were playing, like as a team, because we would
Yeah.
play hundreds of matches together, and just to make like a fresh account, like I felt bad, and like I would get messages because I play on Xbox from like kids and like adults saying that like I ruined their game just because like I knew what I was doing and. Like, you look on the board of kills, I would be like 10, 12, 13 kills out of like 50 players. Like, it's just crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to that, though, I feel like you shouldn't get mad at that, right? Like, let's say if you're a veteran, shooter, player, right? You're automatically gonna have some of that skill, whether it's aiming and
Yeah.
shooting, sniping, whatever the case might be. So you can kind of say that anybody can really jump in and be level 1, right, and go ahead and still be really really good at the game if you've been used to shooters. One thing like for
Yeah.
me, like sniping, I'm so used to sniping that any game, even Fortnite, the minute I pick it up, I get a sniper. It's just okay, aim and shoot. That's it. I'm pretty accurate at that. You got to read the people, read their movements, where they're gonna go, and it's kind of easy for me to do regardless of the game. I never have any issues when it comes to aiming and shooting. So I don't know. I feel like that's not the big issue. But when it comes to like dumb calling it Overwatch 2, is probably a marketing thing. I think they're marketing it as a reboot of the franchise, therefore calling it Overwatch 2 to kind of get people to come back to Overwatch that's already left. And then some of what Gio said, they switched out the game engine, better optimized to get things going a little bit better. And then of course, their new monetization style, as well as adding PvE. Like I mentioned earlier, they're adding PvE elements to the game so that people
That's
can
gonna be interesting.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be.
yeah, I would like to see
I'm
how that
gonna-
goes.
I'm definitely gonna try it. Will I be probably playing it a lot? Maybe me personally not,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
I think if one thing that Overwatch has done amazingly
Yeah.
is their cinematics. Their
Yeah.
cinematics.
Yeah.
were
Their trailers were
beautiful.
dope. Yeah, I did love
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
trailers. Definitely
Well,
better.
that's with anything Blizzard related,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, if you go and look back, like, even watching the old World of Warcraft trailers, if you were interested, they still look stunning today. And, like, that's over 20 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
they're known for their trailers.
Yeah, I'm not a big Blizzard fan, honestly. Aside from
Not anymore.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I've never really enjoyed their games except Overwatch was the main one that really got me into it.
Yeah.
But their
Especially after
character
what they did
trailers.
recently.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
after that, and that's another topic that we can talk about. But their trailers, honestly they have the best character introduction trailers. Outside, I'll say outside of Smash. Smash is like the only other one that was pretty good about it. When they were doing new characters there. So let's move on to our next topic, which is a topic that I really want to get Gio's take on. And I think we all have some words to say this, but can Halo Infinite be saved? For those of you who don't know, Halo Infinite is it's messy there, right? Like there's a lot of things going wrong with it in both the campaign and the multiplayer. It's one of those games that Halo's known for co-op campaign. First of all, like you can't say that you've never played Halo Infinite or any Halo game in co-op campaign. Ever since the first Halo, that's the way I played the game, and I've continued to play it. Halo Infinite goes and launches without any co-op campaign. Not only that, you get to the multiplayer side of things, and there's not that many maps. There's so little to do there. The season pass was just
And they're bad.
it's a mess. Yeah, the maps are boring. They're a mess. The season pass was a mess. It took forever for you to level up to get anything. Can it be saved? Like, what can they do to save Halo Infinite? Because this is something they said was going to be one Halo game, and they were going to update it for years to come. And at this point, I don't know. It looks like they might have to move on to a new game. What do you think, Gio?
So, like, I agree with what you said. The launching with no co-op is whack. I grew up playing Halo
Or
3
Forge.
or Forge. That's another thing. So yeah,
Like,
I mean, for me personally, I grew up like when I was like 7. I was playing Halo 3, and the first time I beat the campaign, I was playing co-op on the same screen with my cousin. We stayed up like all night during a summer to beat it on Legendary. And then same thing with Halo Reach, and then all the fun game modes that came out of Forge, like Speed Halo, Michael Myers. You have like all these fun different types of game modes from Forge that it makes Halo Halo. Like DayZ even. That as far as the campaign side, I mean, even story wise, it doesn't compete with Halo 1 through Reach.
Yeah.
Personally speaking.
yeah.
But the competitive side, I have a lot of gripes with it personally. I think the rank system is absolute trash.
Bad. It's bad, dude.
I think so. They reward bad players for doing bad, and they don't reward good players for doing good. You don't lose like rank points when you lose, so you just have people that are losing and holding down people in higher ranks because they don't lose. They don't go back down a rank. There's no demotion. In the beginning, there was a lot of like cheaters too. A lot of DDoSers, a lot of cheaters, and even worse, when there was a cheater, there was no report button. You couldn't report them. And if you disconnected, you couldn't get back in. You couldn't.
It happened so many times to me too, bro.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah,
I was
all
so
the
excited
time.
for that game.
I mean, so in the first 2 weeks it came out, me and my group were like, "Oh, Halo! We grew up playing Halo. Let's play Halo. Let's get the top rank." I mean, it took us like a week and a half to get Onyx, but even then, it took a lot of DCs, a lot of cheaters, a lot of bad maps. The spawns of the maps favor one side so heavily with power and like weapons and such. It's hard to compete sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, for like in my opinion, and again, hot take here, but controller and mouse and keyboard should not be in the same game in a competitive standpoint. It should not be in the same lobby.
No, I agree.
No, I agree.
With that one too.
But don't quote me, doesn't Warzone also have controller and mouse and keyboard in the same lobby too?
So does Apex.
I think
So
a
does
lot of
Apex.
them are.
Yeah.
The only one
Fortnite as well.
Yeah, the only one that doesn't as of right now is Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you
But
can still play like casuals, but they lose aim assist on casuals, which is
Yeah.
not fair to them, but
No.
it's just a casual. They should still get aim assist, but competitively speaking, there should be no place where it's locking or whatever
Yeah.
the term is.
Yeah.
Hot take: I can't play Halo with mouse and keyboard. It feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Like I have
Yeah,
to
me
play with
either.
controller. Like
It felt weird at first, but I can't go back to controller, so I was like, you know what? Stick it through.
No, definitely. Yeah, on the stream, you'll see me. I'll be using a controller for Halo. It's just
Hey.
something I'm used to.
Yeah, same here.
No, there's like, and I agree. There's nothing. People should play what they want to play.
Yeah.
Like there is controller, console, whatever
Yeah.
it may be, but there is something to be said about like aim assist and in general when there's some games that like the aim assist is a lot stronger on a console with a controller, and yes, they are at a disadvantage, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's so strong where it just sticks to you at really close ranges and you can't compete.
Yeah.
And it just, I feel like an equal playing field of same inputs is always going to be better than meshing inputs together.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what can change it with controller support is actually motion control support on Xbox controllers. I'm not sure if you ever played Splatoon, but Splatoon actually supports like motion controller. Not actually a lot of Switch first-person shooter games actually support it too, and it's so much easier to aim with that because you just gotta adjust the controller up and down or left and right, and you can stay locked on.
Yeah.
A lot easier, a lot more accurate versus using a thumbstick, which is pretty cool.
Even in general, like I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
no, you're good. I can't even play like that. I'm like too dumb.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Same here.
I'm with
can't
Mike
like
on that
computer,
one.
like,
I've been
I'm
playing on a controller like the regular controller for so long.
Yeah, it's I mean one of those that it took me a while to get used to. I had to shut it off because when you're moving, or like let's say if you're just running around not shooting anybody, the motion controller is so sensitive that the camera starts shaking, and that to me started getting me nauseous. Like when I play like
Yeah.
Gears of
Yeah.
War, I have to shut off the camera shake when you run because I start getting nauseous from just all that camera shaking while running.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
the
for sure.
yeah, the worst thing I think is that no one's making any like improvements to controllers
Yeah,
in terms of like joystick technology. There is better joysticks.
yeah,
They're out there.
Yeah.
They just don't want to use them.
yeah,
So I
Yeah,
don't.
it's more expensive.
Yeah,
And they're scared people are not going to want to buy them, which I
right.
think like they would.
yeah.
You know,
I
They would
mean,
100%.
Honestly.
Gully Kit has that magnetic like controller where the thumbsticks they live like in a magnet there, and they actually have a Switch controller. You can also use it on PC and Mac and like iOS and Android and everything like that. But that actually, from what everybody says, is actually a really good controller. Something I wanted to test out myself. I might be looking at it. The only way to get it though is
It's more accurate.
through AliExpress. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
that.
it's more accurate. It lasts longer, more resistant to stick drift.
Yeah.
It's like the future. But again, big corporations, like Mike said, they don't want to make it because it's gonna
No.
cost more. They're gonna charge more for it, and they don't want to risk that, I guess. But if you look at like the mouse and keyboard scene, the mouse pad, people are gonna, if they're serious or they want a better experience, they're gonna pay for that competitive edge or better experience and quality.
well,
Yeah.
it's crazy because like you have
Yeah.
like the Elite 2 controller, which is kind of like hot trash after a while. It's good
Yeah.
at first, and then like a month later, it breaks on you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you're paying $200 for a controller. You think like, or almost $200 for a controller. Like you would think they would add those kind of features to it, you
Yeah.
know. Like, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's all kind of gimmicky,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. So
And that's the thing I
Exactly.
like. The thing I do love about going to mouse and keyboard is all these companies are fighting for innovation in like mouse technology, and it's pushing the competitive scene and even the casual scene to have better quality, better experience, overall longevity of your product. It's just a good thing, and that goes back into like competitive things like you were saying earlier, James.
Yeah.
Competition pushes innovation, and that pushes better consumer happiness. Like it just makes everything better
Yeah. No, definitely.
and
Yeah.
saves money sometimes too.
343 has to learn from that and
Yeah.
make Halo better, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly.
100%.
I mean,
I'm
That's
so
also-
mad.
yeah, I think we all are. It's one of those things, like we've all mentioned, we've all played Halo at some point, and Halo's a game that's, spanned different generations.
It's
And
it's been my whole life. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like and then you promise this amazing game and you don't deliver
Yeah.
for the third time. It wasn't the first time or the second time. It's literally the third
Yeah.
time. The 343 promised an amazing Halo,
Yeah.
and it ended up being not an amazing Halo.
Yeah.
And you're gonna say you're supporting this for 10 years? Please don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, just pull the plug. Like, back to the drawing board, start over, because Halo isn't a battle pass kind of game.
Yeah.
You know, that's a hot take.
Yep.
Like,
No,
it's not. Yeah, like the armor core stuff. Like, get out of here, man. Like,
Yeah.
how are you gonna have a Halo game where you can't customize or earn your armor? You have to like
Yeah.
pay for it. You know, like, I
Exactly.
don't know, man. Like, that's so
And
stupid.
Again, like going back to like again, James was saying like everything was interlocked in Halo. Like you could unlock the Hayabusa armor for Halo 3.
And it was
Now-
hard to do. Like,
Yeah.
it took skill. Like,
It took me and my cousin like 4 attempts, but I finally got that Hayabusa armor with the katana, and I was happy man,
Yeah.
playing MLG. But and I think, in my personal opinion, I think Reach had the best Halo armor set. It had so much
It did.
customizability.
Yeah.
You had so much
Yeah.
individuality with not only your tags but your armor, your armor effect
Yeah.
and the gameplay. I feel like it was. I feel like now, like I think people don't like this, but I think Halo Reach was more innovative for like the arena shooter, like arcade style. Like it kind of meshed arena to like this new arcadey style of Halo, which I enjoyed
Yeah.
personally.
Oh yeah, definitely. They took it to a next level, right? With the little I don't know what you would call them, but like what would you call like the
Armor lock,
yeah,
abilities, yeah.
exactly the abilities
I
you had.
hated the abilities, man. I didn't like them.
I did
And I hated
too.
that all the maps looked the same. All the maps looked so similar. There wasn't really
Yeah,
individuality.
But
in the
I mean, I
maps.
think that's something that carried over. Like even Halo 4 kind of used it. They kind of took what Reach did and just copied and pasted it when Halo 4 came out. So Halo 4 actually
But
wasn't
somehow
that
made it
bad.
worse. Yeah, but somehow
Yeah.
made it slightly worse.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
I don't know what it was. The competitive scene fell off for
Yeah.
Halo after Reach. Like, it was just like
After-
non-existent almost.
after
Well,
Like,
that goes
Bungie.
back. Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
back to dev support.
Yeah.
Like the reason Overwatch died is because Overwatch is at its core, it's made for competition. Like it
Yeah.
is made to be an esport.
Yeah.
When you stop supporting an esport, you
Yeah.
let like bugs fester, you let like really bad metas fester, and if you don't have if you don't have a way for players to have a competition, they're not going to want to invest their time.
Yeah.
Dude, Halo, the
Yeah.
sand map, what's it called? In
Oh.
Halo Infinite, what's it called?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah,
sand
I
map.
know which one you're
It's-
talking about. Yeah.
Bro, so that is the worst map I've ever played in any Halo game. And that's the only map I get every time, and it's team, and you start with an assault rifle. So you make this really big map, and you put one battle rifle on the map, and
Yeah.
everyone else has an assault rifle. Like, bro, it's just like
Yeah.
they did not plan like this
Anything.
multiplayer. Like,
Yeah.
they just didn't
No.
plan. Like that map should be everyone starts with a BR because it's a long range map. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
What are you supposed to do? Like long range AR someone? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way, dude.
And just even the guns, they feel off. The AR feels sluggish, doesn't feel as accurate as it used to. Because you used to have like an option of like BR or AR. Like, yeah, the AR is good close range, but BR you can mid range and close range.
Yeah.
Man, if you don't have a BR in Halo Infinite, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pretty much, man. They did not. 343 is a terrible studio.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
just wanna put that out there. They
mean-
like they act like they're like a small studio every time like they talk, but like it's like, bro, you're backed by Microsoft.
Yeah.
You literally have like billions of dollars at your disposal.
And I think that's one of the things, like, they passed the torch to them and they still have yet to prove themselves that they can handle it. Like at this
10
point,
years later.
yeah, at this point with all of Microsoft's, buying power that they've done recently, they're probably best off finding one of their other studios that they purchase and, let them try to do Halo.
Bethesda.
Yeah, I don't know about Bethesda. They haven't done anything really. Well, I guess they had Quake, right? Yeah, there was Quake.
They
So
just bought Bungie
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Bungie
yeah. Sony owns Bungie now. But
could have back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
they could have just bought Bungie.
Yeah.
And been
I
like,
think-
"Hey, Halo, dude, I'm sorry."
yeah, but remember Bungie left Microsoft, and I think it was for a
Yeah.
reason. So they probably wouldn't have gone back to them. And I know the only way that for Sony to actually buy them was they promised them that they can stay third party. They just can use Bungie's resources to make their service games and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with Halo Infinite. Hopefully it can get better.
Hopefully.
We'll be streaming it from time to time because it's something that every now and then we still like Halo,
So-
and it's not like we
It holds
hate.
a special place in my heart.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like we hate it. We want it to get better, right? We criticize it because we know it can be better. We know how it was, back in the days when Halo was in its prime, and we still see it at that way. So hopefully, hopefully it gets better, right?
Yeah,
But but we're short on time here. We're kind of, running out of time in general. Definitely catch us out in our stream. We'll definitely be live streaming this Friday. Hopefully this video will actually be up by this Friday. I gotta do a lot of editing. I also have a solo video that I should be having out also in a couple of days, and maybe by the time actually this podcast posts, it'll also be available. So be sure to check that one out as well. I know Mike is also working on one, and Jesse's also working on one as well. But before we leave, Gio, where can they catch you at?
So on Twitch and YouTube, it's just Loathy, Loathy. And then on Twitter and TikTok, there's just add an XO at the end. But that's usually where I'm at.
There you go. If you want to see more of Gio, go ahead and follow him there. Follow his Twitch channel. Subscribe to him over there as well.
Thanks.
And for us, you can catch us at the Random Encounter, of course, on YouTube and Twitch as well. You can catch us there. And then we also got Twitter, TikTok, and everything else going up as well. But thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. We also have the Streamlab donations page available as well. And like I said before, all this will get us to getting better video equipment. As you've seen in the past few episodes we've done, definitely updated it. As you see, me and Jesse have better mics now, even better mics than before. And we're moving forward. We're trying to get better video equipment, better recording stuff, multiple monitors, things like that, so we can continue to get a better production value out of this. Thank you for joining us. My name is James. That's Mike, Jesse. Thank you, Gio, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the next episode of the Random Encounter.
Peace.
Peace.